Do you find yourself having reservations when you consider possibilities in your life? I don't know about you, but when I look at those reservations, I certainly see how they hold me back. So the challenge is, how do we overcome these reservations so that we can continue to grow? So in our time together, I'd like to introduce you to a deaf and mute man who's found in the Gospel of Mark, who has encouraged me to overcome these reservations so that I can live out my potential. So let's start by asking ourselves some questions, some possibilities that we have considered. Are you looking for more personal time because your life is just so hectic? Or are you looking for some type of fitness goal because you want to become healthier? Or are some of your relationships strained, so therefore you want to improve your relationships with some people? All real possibilities that can improve our life, all things that I've considered for my life. When you're considering possibilities for your life, whether they're old ones or new ones, what question keeps coming up in your mind? I know there's a critical question that I ask myself, and that is, am I truly open to it? I may desire it, I may want it, but am I open to it? And I think it's a critical question that we need to ask ourselves, because we may want something, but do we truly believe that we can change in order to have it? And how about reservations that we have about having a relationship with God? Maybe you know somebody who has some reservations, and maybe you've had reservations. I know in my journey, I've had reservations and sometimes still have reservations in my relationship with God. But here's what I found in my experience is that it's possible. Not that it's not impossible, it's possible. And God provides for us the help that we need to have this relationship with Him because He desires it for us. Now, you might be saying, I'm not interested, I've tried it, it's not something that I want to try again. Hold on. Let's just, for a moment, consider how this deaf and mute man might encourage us with the possibility of having that relationship with God. In the Gospel of Mark in chapter 7, we can read about this encounter of a deaf and mute man and Jesus. And in those times, being deaf and mute created a great sense of isolation. It was a challenge to communicate and really understand with others. And quite frankly, in those times, people didn't want to be around people with those types of disabilities. In fact, they considered them outcasts. But if you think about it, the same principle applies to us today. If we're not open to listening, we lose the opportunity of hearing what's being said. Let me say that again. If we are not open to listening, we lose the opportunity of hearing what's being said. And that in itself will create a great sense of isolation, an isolation from each other and an isolation from God. And God doesn't want that for us. Therefore, that's why He's provided Jesus as a way for us to be open. And that's why this reflection on the deaf and mute man can encourage us to be open with Jesus as well. In this story, Jesus encounters this deaf man and He pulls him aside. Now, I'm sure you can relate to this. I'm sure you've been in a large room with a lot of people and someone comes up to you and wants to speak to you and they pull you aside. And this creates a real intimate encounter. And in this intimate encounter, Jesus uses some very powerful words with the deaf man. Some words that you and I can relate to. Jesus says, be open. Now, granted, we can see that He's performing a physical healing, but at the same time, these words have a deeper meaning for our lives. Just because the deaf man can now physically hear doesn't mean he's open to listening. Jesus not only has provided the opportunity to physically hear, He now has provided the opportunity and is encouraging the man to really listen to Jesus' words with his heart and understand the possibilities that Jesus' message, the good news, can have for his life. Now listen to this for a moment. Jesus wants to help us to hear him, to hear God. He wants us to continue to hear the gospel message. And this is how you and I can relate to this deaf man and the healing. He has helped the man to open up his ability to hear God and to start listening to God in his life. So let's go back to the question that I asked in the beginning. What are some possibilities that you imagine for your life? And I'm sure some of yours are like mine. Like, are you happy? And I'm sure you have a sense of happiness in your life, but you might want a greater sense of happiness. Or you might be searching for a greater meaning and purpose for your life. Or maybe you know that you're kind to others, but there's room to be even more kind. And maybe this is a tough one. What's the possibility of truly understanding the relevancy of God for my life and in my life? And for some, that question is just ignored completely. And for some of us, that's even become very complacent for us. I would like to encourage you to allow Jesus to help you be a little bit more open. And maybe for you, it might be just by starting and sitting with a friend and talking with the friend about who God is. And little by little, allowing yourself to be open to the possibilities that God truly desires for you in your life, the way in which he desires your life to be transformed through this relationship with him, just like we saw with the deaf and mute man. Now, over time in my life, I have seen a transformation happen because I've opened up little by little to who God is, understanding and seeing what he desires for my life, and this transformation to really happen. And that's what I really desire for you as well, is to have a deeper relationship with him and opening up your heart so that he can help you with these possibilities that you desire in your life. So you might be wondering, hey, what happened to the deaf and mute man? The scripture says that he spoke correctly. He had more clarity in his life. So if you're looking for more clarity in your life, I'd encourage you to be more open. Be more open to discovering the possibilities of what God has in store for your life. So if you found this reflection encouraging, I would encourage you to share it with somebody else. And if you haven't had the opportunity, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps these platforms, my YouTube channel and the podcast channel, to be discovered by other people. So thank you again for spending this time together, and God bless.